Have you ever looked at your bank account and thought, there has to be more to life than this? I know I have. I remember the days when I was living paycheck to paycheck, constantly stressed, constantly worried. I'd lie awake at night thinking, will I ever get ahead? That question haunted me, until one day, I discovered the teachings of Jim Rohn. His wisdom hit me like a lightning bolt. It wasn't about how much I made. It was about how I managed what I made, how I thought about money, and the rules I lived by. Jim Rohn said, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines, practiced every day. And that's what I want to share with you. 10 simple but powerful disciplines that will unlock your financial freedom. These aren't theories or get-rich-quick schemes. They're principles that I've lived, failed at, learned from, and ultimately mastered. Why do I believe so strongly in these 10 rules? Because they changed my life. And if they worked for me, they can work for you. This video is your roadmap, your breakthrough, your moment to decide whether you'll keep drifting or start building. Are you ready? Let's begin. Rule 1. Always spend less than you earn. Do you control your money, or does your money control you? That was the first question I had to answer when I started this journey. For years, I was living on 100%, or worse, 110%, of my income. I'd justify my spending with excuses. I deserve it, it's just one time, or, I'll pay it off later. But debt kept piling up. Stress grew heavier. And I realized something had to change. Jim Rohn taught me that financial freedom begins with discipline. It's not about deprivation, it's about direction. When you learn to spend less than you earn, you begin to take control. You give every dollar a job. You tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. So I made a vow. I would start living on 70% of my income. 10% would go to saving, 10% to investing, and 10% to giving. That simple change transformed everything. Suddenly, I had breathing room. I had options. I had peace of mind. Do you know what peace of mind feels like? It's knowing your bills are paid, your future is secure, and you're not one emergency away from disaster. It's freedom. And it all starts with this rule: spend less than you earn. If you master this, you lay the foundation for every other financial principle. Ask yourself, what would happen if I reduced my lifestyle by just 10%? Could I finally start saving? Could I begin investing in my future? Could I give more generously? The answer is yes, but only if you make the decision now. This rule is simple, but not easy. It requires sacrifice, self-control, and long-term vision. But I promise you, it's worth it. Because when you spend less than you earn, you stop being a slave to money, and you start becoming its master. Rule 2. Learn to make your money work for you. Are you working for money, or is your money working for you? For years, I was stuck in the trap of trading time for money. I thought the only way to earn more was to work more hours. But then I learned one of the most liberating truths from Jim Rohn. Wealth is not about hard labor, it's about smart leverage. Your money can become your employee. It can go out, day and night, and earn more money for you, if you know how to invest it. At first, I was scared of investing. The stock market felt like a gamble. Real estate seemed out of reach. But Jim's words echoed in my mind. You must either modify your dreams or magnify your skills. So I decided to magnify my skills. I educated myself. I read books, watched videos, talked to mentors, and dipped my toes into low-risk investments. I started small, just $50 a month into an index fund. Then I invested in a mutual fund. Then dividend-paying stocks. Before I knew it, my money was generating income, even while I slept. Think about that. Money working while you sleep. Isn't that what freedom really is? No more living paycheck to paycheck. No more panic when bills arrive. Just steady, growing financial security. But it doesn't happen by accident. It takes intention, education, and courage. You have to learn the language of money. You have to become a steward of your finances. And most importantly, you have to act. So ask yourself, how is your money working for you right now? If it's not, what's stopping you? Fear, ignorance, laziness. The good news is, all of that can change. Because the moment you commit to making your money work for you, you begin to unlock a life of possibilities. Remember, money is a terrible master, but a powerful servant. Put it to work. Rule 3. Have a financial game plan. What's your plan? Not just your dream, but your actual, written down, measurable plan. For years, I wanted financial freedom, but I didn't have a plan. I had a wish, a vague idea that, someday, I'd have more money, less debt, and a better life. But someday isn't a day of the week. Jim Rohn said, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's. And guess what they have planned for you? Not much. That hit me hard. I was drifting, not driving. I was reacting, not leading. I knew I needed a financial game plan. So I sat down and asked myself, what do I want financially in the next 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years? I wrote it down. Then I asked, what will it take to get there? How much do I need to save, invest, earn, and cut back? I broke it down into monthly goals, then weekly actions, then daily habits. That was the moment everything changed. Because now, every financial decision I made had a purpose. Every dollar had a mission. Every choice was filtered through the lens of my plan. Without a plan, you're flying blind. But with a plan, you have direction. You have clarity. You have power. Let me ask you, what's your plan for the next year? Are you preparing for emergencies? Paying off debt? Building investments? Saving for something meaningful? Or are you just hoping things work out? Hope is not a strategy. A game plan is. Take a weekend. Turn off distractions. Sit down with your numbers and your goals. Build your roadmap. Then follow it relentlessly. Because financial freedom isn't just about dreaming, it's about designing. Rule 4. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Are you investing in the stock market, but not investing in yourself? I used to think that working harder at my job was the key to earning more. So I'd show up early, stay late, take on extra projects. But my paycheck barely budged. Then I heard Jim Rohn say something that changed my life. Work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Why? Because your income rarely exceeds your personal development. I realized my mind was the greatest asset I had. Not my job, not my resume, my mindset, skills, and character. So I became obsessed with growth. I read books on wealth, leadership, communication, and business. I practiced new skills. I enrolled in courses. I studied the habits of successful people. And slowly, I became more valuable. I began to see opportunities others missed. I took risks I would have never taken before. And yes, my income started to grow. Think about it. What's the ROI on improving your mindset? Your discipline, your time management, your communication. The return is exponential. Are you growing? Are you stretching? Are you evolving? Or are you stagnant, stuck in the same cycle, hoping things magically get better? Your job may give you a living. But working on yourself, that gives you a fortune. Start small. Read 10 pages a day. Listen to a podcast on your commute. Take an online class each month. Attend a seminar. Surround yourself with people who challenge you. The more you grow, the more you earn, financially and personally. You are your greatest investment. Never forget that. Rule 5. Surround yourself with financially wise people. Who do you talk to about money? Who are your 5 closest friends? And what are their habits, beliefs, and attitudes about wealth? Jim Rohn famously said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. That statement shook me to the core. When I looked at the people around me, I realized something. None of them were financially free. Most were in debt. Most lived for weekends. Most mocked the idea of investing, budgeting, or starting a business. And without knowing it, I had adopted their mindset. I was stuck in a poverty circle, not because of my income, but because of my influences. So I made a radical decision. I changed my circle. I started attending meetups on personal finance. I joined online communities of investors and entrepreneurs. I read books and listened to podcasts by people who had walked the path to financial freedom. Slowly but surely, my mindset changed. I saw what was possible. I learned new strategies. I began to believe at a deeper level. Your environment shapes your beliefs. Your beliefs shape your actions. Your actions shape your future. So ask yourself, who am I listening to? Who am I learning from? Who am I becoming like? You don't have to cut everyone off, but you do have to level up your circle. Find mentors. Seek accountability partners. Build relationships with people who talk about ideas, not just gossip. People who challenge you to grow, not pull you back. Want to change your financial future? Start by changing your financial influences. Rule 6. Master the art of giving. Is your fist closed or open? For years, mine was closed. I thought the way to build wealth was to hoard every dollar, protect every cent, and never let anything go. But I was wrong. Jim Rohn taught me the paradox of prosperity. Only by giving are you able to receive more than you already have. At first, I didn't get it. Give. When I was barely scraping by. But something inside me nudged me to try. So I started small. $10 to a cause I believed in. A little extra to help a friend in need. A tip that went above and beyond. And something strange happened. I didn't have less. I felt like I had more. More gratitude. More purpose. More joy. And eventually, more financial increase. Giving changed my mindset. It reminded me that money is a tool, not just for survival or pleasure, but for impact. It also broke the scarcity mentality that had kept me stuck. When I gave freely, I started to believe that abundance was always available. Now, I give as a principle. I tithe. I support causes. I help family. And every time I give, I feel wealthier, not just in my bank account, but in my soul. Let me ask you, what are you holding onto so tightly that it's blocking the flow of your abundance? Try opening your hand. Give, not because you have to, but because you choose to. You'll be amazed at what comes back to you. Rule 7. Become obsessed with learning. When was the last time you learned something new that changed how you saw money? Most people stop learning the moment they leave school. But financial freedom requires a different kind of education, self-education. The kind Jim Rohn preached every day. He said, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. I took that personally. I began devouring books, articles, courses, anything that taught me how to think, grow, and earn differently. I read books on wealth by authors like Napoleon Hill, Robert Kiyosaki, and of course, Jim Rohn. I studied budgeting, investing, real estate, tax strategies, and side hustles. I learned from YouTube, podcasts, and free online classes. Every new insight was a brick in the foundation of my financial house. Knowledge is power, but only when applied. I didn't just learn passively. I tested, implemented, failed, adjusted, and tried again. And with every attempt, I got better. Are you learning daily, weekly, monthly, or have you stopped? Are you spending more time watching TV than expanding your financial literacy? Make a commitment today to become a student of wealth. Read one book a month. Watch one video a day. Attend one seminar a year. Learning is not a luxury, it's your ladder out of financial mediocrity. If you want to earn more, learn more. It's that simple. Rule 8. Control your emotions around money. Have you ever made a financial decision out of fear, stress, or excitement, and regretted it later? I have, more times than I'd like to admit. And every time, I was reminded of one of Jim Rohn's most sobering truths. We must all suffer one of two pains: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Money is emotional. It touches our identity, our dreams, our self-worth. But to build wealth, you must learn to separate emotion from strategy. Impulse spending, emotional investing, avoiding budgets because they make you feel restricted. All of these are signs that emotions are running the show. And when emotions rule, money flees. I had to train myself to pause, to breathe, to analyze. When I felt the urge to buy something out of impulse, I waited 24 hours. When I felt fear during a market drop, I looked at the data, not the drama. Discipline doesn't mean you ignore your feelings. It means you don't let them drive your financial car. So how do you gain emotional control? Start with awareness. Track your triggers. Journal your financial wins and losses. Reflect on your patterns. Build systems that protect you from emotional decisions, like automating savings or limiting credit use. Ask yourself, are your emotions helping or hurting your finances? Are they building your future or sabotaging it? Emotional intelligence is just as important as financial intelligence. Master both. Rule 9. Multiple streams of income. What would happen if your main source of income disappeared tomorrow? Would your life collapse, or keep flowing? Jim Rohn taught that security lies not in having one job, but in having multiple streams of income. For years, I relied solely on a paycheck. It was consistent, until it wasn't. A company restructure left me jobless. That's when I realized I had put all my eggs in one fragile basket. So I diversified. I started a side hustle, freelancing online. I rented out a spare room. I sold products on a small e-commerce site. Eventually, I invested in dividend stocks and real estate. Each stream didn't make me rich overnight. But together, they formed a river of income. And suddenly, I wasn't dependent on one boss, one company, or one industry. Having multiple streams means more security, more flexibility, and more peace of mind. It's the difference between survival and stability. So what can you start today? A side gig, a small investment, a monetized skill. The goal is freedom, and freedom flows from options. Rule 10. Build a legacy, not just wealth. What will you leave behind? Not just in your bank account, but in the hearts and lives of others. For a long time, I thought financial freedom was just about me, my comfort, my goals, my lifestyle. But Jim Rohn challenged that. He said, all good men and women must take responsibility to create legacies that will take the next generation to a level we could only imagine. That shifted everything. Now I think long term. I don't just save and invest. I teach my children about money. I document my journey. I support causes that matter. I mentor others. Legacy is about impact, influence, intention. It's knowing that your financial freedom didn't end with you, it started something bigger. So ask yourself, what story will your money tell when you're gone? What lives will be touched because you chose to live by these rules? Financial freedom isn't just a goal. It's a gift you pass on. We've walked through 10 principles, 10 rules, 10 commitments that, if followed, can lead you to true financial freedom. Not just more money, but more meaning. Not just comfort, but confidence. Not just survival, but significance. So where do you stand right now? Are you spending more than you earn? Relying on a single paycheck? Ignoring your potential to grow, give, and guide others? The good news is, you can change. Starting today. Starting now. Jim Rohn once said, the major value in life is not what you get. The major value in life is what you become. So become someone who lives with purpose. Who handles money with wisdom. Who inspires others through action. This is your moment. This is your blueprint. Now go build your freedom.